We're good? Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. Just want to do a couple of groundkeeping, not groundkeeping, excuse me, housekeeping items. First, if you have a cell phone, please put it on vibrate or silence it. If there's a need for conversation, please step outside and have the conversation. Greatly appreciate it. Also, in terms of sometimes during applications, people can become passionate on either side, and we just ask that everybody be respectful to one another in this room. If the gavel is pounded, please hear and simmer down. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you for coming. Welcome to 2026. Happy New Year. Hope it's a very healthy and happy one for everyone here. And I would like to take this time to also welcome our new council, our land use council, Carl Scully, is with us here, who has an extensive background in land use law. And with that, I will get started. I'm going to start with the roll call. I'm going to start on my left.
Charles Whites.
Daryl Selsey.
Jamel Thompson.
Vivian Salmon.
Okay, let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. Commissioner Jenga is on her way, so she will be joining us shortly. All right, item number 2, approval. I'm going to ask that we do all of these together. The September 9th minutes, the October 8th minutes, November 5th, in the year 2025. Is there a motion to approve the minutes as submitted?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Everyone in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you. Item number 3 is going to be 3.2, case number PB-24-2. I have actually recused myself from this application, so the interim chair is going to be Mr. Charles Whites, so I'm going to ask Mr. Whites to take over. I will be in the next room over here while this takes place.
Okay, folks, the public hearing is still open here, so I'm not going to go through all the pomp and circumstance. Mr. Blanchard from the applicant, please proceed.
Thank you, Chairman. Here this evening for hopefully, which is more of a wrap-up session. Since the last meeting, the applicant has provided some clarity to the board, working through the planning department, Mr. Herbert, Assistant Commissioner Herbert. We have provided additional information on the EAF questions that were asked to be supplemented, and I tried to provide additional information to the Assistant Commissioner and to this board relating to the position I've been taking, that it's city code, state law, regulations, lots of different regulatory activities govern the practice, structure practice of excavation. I went to the building department, spoke to the building department, got a blank application for building permit. It's confirmed to me that an applicant would, for example, submit a building excavation plan. Building department would review that, approve it, inspect it. There's a sworn safety portion of the affidavit where the contractor has to attest to the fact that they will follow the New York State Uniform Building Code. Taking the position all along that this focus on the excavation activity as an adverse environmental impact is properly mitigated by this board recognizing that it is a heavily regulated activity. And that the building department, the engineers that work there, will follow, make sure that the applicant is strictly adhering to law. Also pointing out that in this particular neighborhood, single family home neighborhood, it's a single family neighborhood. Our application to divide 8,000 square foot lot into two zoning compliant 10,000 square foot lots. Demolish or reconstruct one house without variances and construct a new house without variances. Essentially adding one house.
So if I could just stop you there, I think the board is aware of all that information. We have your written communications as well as communications from the public and everyone else. So I'm gonna ask in the interest of fairness, in the interest of time, if there's anything new that you'd like to provide,
Yes.
information, please share.
I apologize, thank you. In fairness to the opposition, they have not seen this letter back. I just forwarded it tonight at around 6 o'clock. This is Commissioner Herbert. I'll say, I just want to be part of the record officially, and I misspelled your name. I'm sorry, I said White, not White, I'm sorry, so I will correct that typo.
It's common.
But what I did tonight, we received a letter on January 5th from the opposition attorneys, Charles Tennessee, stating that environmental impact statement warranted in this project. I went to the secret regulation 617.7, pointed out some of the criteria that you have to hit in order to find that an adverse impact, this project should be subject to a positive declaration. For example, you'd have to show substantial adverse change to the existing air quality, ground and surface water quality, removal of structural large quantity of vegetation, impairment of environmental characteristics, creation of material conflict with plans, impairment of the character or quality of important historical or architectural or aesthetic resources. So I point you to the regulation under secret as to what would be triggered for EIS, and I make an objection on the record against that. That's a new material that I've submitted today. Mr. Herbert has been excellent with getting the material I've been submitting out to you. So I have nothing additional, if anyone has any questions.
Do any commissioners have any questions for Mr. Blanchard at this time? Not at this time.
No question.
Well, right ahead. Thank you.
Right now, I'd like to open it up to members of the public who'd like to speak in connection with this application. I would ask that there be a strict 3-minute time limit, and also that only information that is new, that has not previously been placed on the record, please. And Ms. Pace, I appreciate you keep time for us. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Charlie Dempsey. Fairways, and thank you to the planning board. I'm from the firm Alvar Burger Global. I represent numbers of the cities who are concerned about this application. So before I get started, I would like to just ensure that the letters that were submitted in advance of the been included as part of the record. Assistant Commissioner Herbert, we submitted. There were 2 letters on January 5th that we submitted, and then one from my firm from Alvar Burger Global. Another one was I forwarded on behalf of a group of concerned neighbors, and the third was from a neighbor, Ms. Lynn Benston. Just want to confirm that that's.
Yes, all 3 of those letters were transmitted to the board in advance of the meeting by email and then also uploaded to the OpenGov file for the application.
So at the meeting last night, there was a suggestion that this is merely a subdivision. This application is merely just a subdivision, and it's our position that that's not consistent with the applicant's submissions to make this application, which sought the approval to demolish the existing residence and subdivide the lot, the available lots for the action for this board. Even if this were only a subdivision, secret is clear that the planning board must consider the environmental impacts of the entire action before approving, funding, undertaking any specific element of the action. So you have to look at the entire action. It's not just saying, well, we're gonna look at the subdivision in isolation, but that's not what secret requires of this planning board as the lead agency under secret. The regulations, the secret regulations explicitly state that considering only required for a segment of an action at secret. So I just wanted to put that position on record. This is not a simple subdivision. This is not simply purview. Subdivision is not the simple purview of this planning board. It's actually the planning board's responsibility to consider the entire action.
Your view is noted, Mr. Hennessy. Please proceed.
Second, based on last night's discussion, what, you know, I'll come back to that based on this. We believe that the record needs to be complete with respect to that raw impacts. We discussed the planning board previously recognized that steeper review here, it said beyond subdivision, which is why the city authorized Develop Associates to conduct a 5-phase environmental review.
Mr. Hennessy, we will give you more time if others are in the community are yielding their time to you, so please continue.
Thank you. I will be quick. Skip Vegas on these. So, as we know, phase 1 was of the original development report, would have identified bedrock depth, quantity, workability, noise, vibration, truck traffic, that was eliminated. But despite that elimination, the draft EAF that was uploaded by the planning board staff still included that the proposed action in part 2 of the EAF included that the proposed action would result in moderate to substantial impacts to land to the shallow bedrock and rock outcroppings. At last night's work session, the planning board staff explained that this conclusion was being revised based on the applicant's statement that only approximately 200 cubic yards of material will be removed. That estimate, our position is that estimate is unsupported by any independent analysis. Secret requires the planning board of the agency to take based on evidence, not on statements made by the applicant. We don't believe this as a hypothetical concern. Earlier in the process, the applicant had stated in part 1 of the EAF that no excavation would occur, which we all know was not true. And courts have held that the lead agency's reliance on misleading or unsupported EAF responses can constitute reversible errors in Article 78 proceedings. At this point, the only information before the board concerning bedrock removal, excavation, volume, noise, vibration, truck traffic, is from applicant representations, which not is sufficient to allow the board to actively answer part 2 of the EAF, which will also conclude that impacts are insignificant. I just want to point out that Commissioner Riley of the Architectural Review Board found in the September 25th, 2024 Architectural Review Board meeting that the noise level from anticipated rock removal, quote, would be unbearable and travel as far as possible. Finally, there's a serious unresolved issue regarding hazardous conditions inside structure that's going to be demolished, 55 Pondfield, as detailed in the January 5th, 2026 letter submitted by neighbors of 55 Pondfield. This house has been vacant for an extended period without climate control, windows open and exposed to moisture, conditions that create a high likelihood of dangerous mold growth.
Let me stop you there. You're aware, Mr. Hennessy, that the building department has issued a demolition permit to the applicant.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I just want to make sure, so we don't really need to.
It was based on asbestos report from March. And so what we're saying, it's been almost 2 years since then. And the secret you know, there's a separate requirement and procedure to take a hard look, which is separate from the requirements of the building department, what the building department requires to take a issue permit. So there's a separate obligation, you know, if the house has been sitting there for 2 years, but it has not been looked at for 2 years, and we're concerned about that. We're concerned, this house will be demolished in the next couple of days, that you know, we have children living on the street, on adjacent streets right there. This could be, there could be toxic mold, which could be harmful, not just to the children, not just to members of the community, but also to the workers. You coined, what should I say? And so I think, you know, at a minimum, we would really urge.
Sorry, is that better? Thank you. You know, if we're not going to reinstate the hazardous materials phase 3 of the original Labella report, we would at least urge, you know, that someone, whether it's from this planning board or the building department, conduct a walkthrough of the house at a minimum, just including the basement before secret is closed. We think this is a modest common sense step that would provide reassurance to the community and help ensure that demolition does not expose the neighbors or workers to hazardous conditions. And I think with that, I will rest with just reserving the right to respond later in this meeting if anything comes up. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Blanchard, any rebuttal? If you don't
No,
have it,
no.
if you don't have it, it's fine.
Arrest on so far, on what we have committed.
Thank you.
Serving the regular.
Please.
Good evening. My name is Joanne Zach, and I'm a resident of Pondfield Parkway and a neighboring homeowner to 55 Pondfield Parkway. We are here tonight because 3 environmental studies originally identified as necessary to evaluate this project were never completed. Those studies were ordered by the city because Part 1 of the environmental assessment form contained incorrect answers by the applicant, including a no response to the question regarding excavation and removal of bedrock, despite clearly visible bedrock outcroppings on the property that will require substantial excavation to construct a house. Sorry, I'm very nervous. Those studies were not eliminated by a vote or formal determination of this board, but were rather by a unilateral decision of the then chair, a decision the board never formally approved, and one that was later followed by the chair's recusal due to undisputed financial dealings with the applicant. Without those studies, the board does not have the information required to make a valid SECRA determination. The environmental studies are necessary to evaluate how bedrock removal, excavation, hazardous material, and stormwater impacts will be safely and properly addressed. Proceeding without the environmental studies will result in a flawed and defective SECRA determination. I'm not asking the board to deny the application, but simply to require that the 3 environmental studies originally deemed necessary be completed so that the project can move forward with a valid SECRA determination and with the facts and the safeguards needed to protect surrounding neighbors and the Huntwoods environment. Finally, I note for the record, and not for the board to act on unless you want to, that there was a defective notice. The notice posted on the property for tonight's meeting listed the incorrect year. It listed 2025. We have photos to document it, but we didn't, it was just beyond.
That is, I would view that as.
Technically, the meeting be.
I would view that as a scribe's error. I'm sure that the applicant in good faith.
Well, that's what we just didn't Yeah, but I do want to note it, okay, that we didn't make a big point of it. For these reasons, I respectfully ask that the board to defer actions until such time as these 3 environmental studies are reinstated and completed. That's all. Thank you very much. Have a, thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sal Vicarisi. I live at Douglas Place. I might be factually incorrect on some of the things that I'll say, and I'm sure you'll correct me, but this is just information that I was able to find on my research. So it's state law that reports, so I broke into 3 separate categories regarding demolition. The first is asbestos. So it's okay for Mount Vernon to issue a permit, but according to my research, until a state certified asbestos inspection is performed, the permit could be issued, but no actions could be taken. The asbestos survey is comprised by and completed by the New York Asbestos Control Department. If asbestos is found, you need to have a licensed asbestos contractor to remove before certified abatement is permitted. New York State has sole responsibility over asbestos compliance, including federal and New York State compliance, not only the city of Mount Vernon. Mount Vernon cannot approve asbestos abatement by itself. It needs to have state and federal approval. Demolition before abatement is illegal, period. Homes built before 1980 are very, very likely to have asbestos contained within them. This house was built about 1925. Asbestos was used for insulation, roofing, siding, flooring, piping, ceilings, and compound patches. This would include any reservations that were done up to 1980s. Professional testing is the only way to confirm and identify asbestos presence. Demolition of asbestos particles and fibers are released into the air. Fibers can travel hundreds of feet, settling into neighbors' yards, soil, and homes. They remain airborne for many days and up to months. The health risk of asbestosis, lung cancer, mesothelioma, and other related illnesses to cancer, of which approval without these tests being done puts the burden of liability on this committee and the city of Mount Vernon, although I'm sure you're all protected by that. The legal and financial results would result in immediate work stoppage, fines, criminal charges, liability for surrounding property cleanups, and lawsuits from the neighbors. At one of the previous meetings, it had been requested that there be an insurance policy taken out to protect the landowners in the immediate vicinity. Contaminated soil is required to be excavated and replaced. And I'll touch upon that later because demolition of a home with airborne products, both for asbestos and lead, could land to soil problems as well as other HVAC problems. Nearby houses may require professional decontamination. So before the demolition occurs, it would be right to have a contamination of the soils in the surrounding areas immediate adjacent to this property, check for contamination, and afterwards, again, check for contamination. If there's any contamination that is a result of the asbestos removal, the builder is responsible to decontaminate the area. The site would be flagged as an environmentally impaired site, and the building would have to be stopped. The bedrock. I've asked on numerous occasions.
We wrap this up.
Why?
So we can have other members of the public speak
I am a member of the public.
and have Mr. Blanchard offer a rebuttal if he cares.
Okay, so, but I have 2 other points. So do you want me,
Please make them.
so you just told me to stop.
I said to wrap it up.
Okay.
I didn't tell you to stop.
Okay. Bedrock challenges can be measured and predictable. We've always been told that they couldn't or have never been committed from this meeting, routinely done by studies and surveys. The challenges that this will tell you, it will tell you the depth of the bedrock. It will tell you the type of the rock, the degree of fracturing, the rippability, which is the excavated or the blasting, groundwater presence, vibration sensitivity in nearby homes, the cost and the time. This test is required and it's requested. It's a geotechnical investigation. It's widely used and it's the gold standard. The cost is between $6,000 and $15,000. What this would entail, it's soil boring, it's samples of the bedrock. You'll know how deep it goes, the rock quality designation, how hard it is to remove the bedrock, and whether it can be ripped, hammered, or blasted. Additional testing that I think may have been done, which is test pits, trial excavation. The pros are quick, inexpensive, and only good for shallow rock. The cons, limited depth, cannot be characterized in identifying the rock and the removal properly, and that is $1,500 to $5,000. A geotechnical survey will support insurance underwritings, which had been requested at the very beginning of this process to protect the homes in the immediate area. You will only get insurance underwriting if a technological survey is completed. It identifies high-risk zones, and municipalities can request or require where blasting is possible, which means you could request this because blasting may be required if you do this test. Insurers may rely upon it for vibration and neighbor damage risk. The bottom line is bedrock excavation challenges can absolutely be measured and assessed. Geotechnical is the gold standard. Lead paint. Primary concern is total exposure to lead paint chips, dust during the demolition. Once lead-based paints enter a body, they accumulate in the bones and the organs.
Mr. Vickery, so I'm gonna have to stop you again. I'm gonna ask you to wrap it up. It's been two prior instances of 3 minutes. We're over a 6 minute.
So could I just get somebody to yield minutes to me?
Please, go right ahead.
Could I ask you to yield 3 minutes to me? Could I ask you to yield your 3 minutes to me? Could I ask you to yield? Thank you.
Okay. Proceed.
Once lead-based paints enter the body, they accumulate in the bones and organs and can cause lymphoma. Exposure happens during demolition. This settles on the floors, soil, toys, food, and HVAC systems in the neighboring area. Most at risk include children. It affects their learning ability, behavior, and development. It affects pregnant women. It results in miscarriages, low birth rates, and preemies. Adults, high blood pressure, kidney damage, nerve damage, and infertility issues. What happens is microscopic deaths, airborne, and travels far beyond demolition structures. The soil becomes contaminated, neighbor homes become contaminated, children's play in the yards becomes contaminated via soil and toys, and it persists for decades, not days or hours. The risk level, the interior pain is very high. Exterior pain is extremely high. The demolition dusk is high. The soil contamination is moderate, and the neighbor exposure is real, not imagined, if not managed. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just very briefly, I just want to note for the record, the applicant is in full compliance with the requirements to obtain a demolition permit. And secondly, the requirements the gentleman was talking about relating to testing, excavation, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Those are already governed under the rules of your building department and New York State law and the New York State Building Code. And the applicant will be in full compliance with those regulations as well.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public?
Hi, good evening. And I know you're sick of us by now, right? And not all of us are even paying attention anymore.
State your name and address.
Yeah, my name is Phil Geraci, 206 Douglas Place, around 100 yards from the property in question. So I guess the first thing I want to say is that we're taking a lot of things for granted that have been stated by the developer and his counsel, Mr. Blanchard. But from the beginning, we've heard all kinds of things that aren't true. At first point, they said he's going to move his family to this neighborhood. We know that's just talk. Then when the board asked for incorporation documents of the entity that is doing this development, they presented an entirely false document. They took a document from another entity, stapled a piece of paper on the front of it, and presented it to you as though it was actually the incorporation document for the entity that is doing this development. And I mean, they're taking us for fools, and I don't know what they think of the board, but that's what they did. Then, when we had a meeting last year, we got an affidavit saying that a sign had been posted on a certain date, and we know that it wasn't posted on that date, but a false affidavit was submitted to the board. And again, that's and even today, there's an affidavit that said that they posted a proper date for this meeting. And I know you say it's a Scrivener's error, but it's not really a Scrivener. He's trying to develop this property. It doesn't take a lot of work to put the right date on a sign. It really doesn't. I mean, it's not a Scrivener's error. Is it incompetence, or is it just like, I don't care? But that's the record here. But now we are asked to believe that these people will do what they say they're going to do, that they're going to actually carefully develop this property. And I guess I just want to end by saying that in looking at the emails that were submitted, at one point, the developer said that the neighbors are unethical. And I'm one of the neighbors. So was it unethical for us to care about what might be the most beautiful corner of this entire city and worry about tearing down a historic house and what the impact on the neighborhood would be, how it would look, how it would feel, how it would affect everybody else in the area? Was it unethical for us to care about tearing down 8 majestic, gigantic trees that have been there for 50, 75, 100 years? Is it unethical to think about that, to care about that? Is it unethical to care about how blasting all this rock or knocking it down or whatever he's going to do with all this bedrock, how it's going to affect the house of the people who live across the street, the people who live next door with 2 little children, and my house just down the block? What's that going to do? I think that's unethical. I think that's being careful. So I think more than almost anything else, is it unethical for us to care about the impact that this is going to have on the only truly green space in the entire city of Mount Vernon, Hunts Woods, right behind this house? Whatever they're going to do is going to have a huge impact on that. And it's been presented to you over and over again over the last however months we've been at this. So I really urge you to think carefully about how it's not just about one developer's right to develop a property that he has the right to develop, but the entire community and how it affects all of us and everybody in the city. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Just want to object, sorry, Mr. Chairman, to speak very quick. I just want to object again to the use of the word historic. The house has not been designated as a historic landmark. I also want to suggest that the Labella report that came in stated that construction will have no impact whatsoever on the woods, the woods behind us. And I also want to point out, I'd like the board to respectfully deliberate upon perhaps the true motivation of the opposition was to protect green space, and by protecting that was couching it in these other objections relating to the fauna, the groundwater, all these other things. But again, the house, there is no historical landmarking status, and I'm again objecting to the use of that term.
I appreciate your points, Mr. Geraci, and and I do empathize with them. I would note that on the record, not just the community was called unethical, so was this board. with regard to its actions and its deliberations over the past 6 to 8 months with regard to this application. And I'd just like to make a quick statement noting that whatever the outcome is with regard to this application, this board has deliberated, has given deep thought and consideration to the issues on all sides of this matter. In addition to environmental studies, environmental impact statements, state law, city code, all of those things. So I want to be clear about that before we proceed. Are there any other members from the public who would like to speak on behalf of the application?
Just one answer. Mr. Blanchard just said that they don't have landmark status for this. There is no landmark status in Mount Vernon. And when I was at the Architecture Review Board meeting, one of the members was really passionately talking about this house. So our feelings about this house, even though it's not landmark status, we feel very strongly about it. And one of the things, I went to a meeting of the, they want to make the new plans for the city. And one thing that they talked about was to recognize some of these houses as landmarks and to try to start doing that in Mount Vernon. So even though he said, that, Mr. Blanchard said it doesn't have landmark status, there is no landmark status. I want to make that point.
Can you state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry, it's Debbie Bauman. I know you know me already. It's 36 Pinefield Parkway, ma'am.
We do, thank you.
Hello. How are you? Thank you, and well, thank you. Mark Bauman, also 36 Pinefield Parkway. My major concern is with what I'm convinced is a tremendous amount of toxic mold in this house. And I recognize that under the city code for issuing a demo permit, is only an asbestos study that's required, not mold. But I think, and I'm pretty sure I'm right about this, that under SECRA, you have the right and the obligation to not just look at what the city requires, but what SECRA requires. And I'm concerned about during the demo process that if past is prologue, and if this developer is as careful or not careful as he's been in the past, that a substantial amount of very toxic material could be released into the atmosphere. There are children directly across the street, one house to the right and one house beyond that, young children, one of whom has asthma. So I'm asking you, please, this is not law. This is, I'm a lawyer, so it's equity, but it's what's right. Let the building department go and take a look. Let Labella go take a look. Or make an appointment with Mr. DiMatteo, wear a mask, and go see it yourself. Because I'm telling you, if you let them proceed with this demolition, someone's going to get sick, whether it's in the neighborhood or it's a worker. And I think that's your solemn duty under SECRA to not only take a hard look, but take actions that are necessary to protect the health and safety of the public. Now, what's the detriment? A little bit of delay. There's been delay so far. It's been 1.5 years. We all know it. But the delay has been occasioned to a large extent by Mr. DiMatteo. The escrow for Labella was set up in May. He did nothing. He didn't fund it. He waited for 6 months. If he had funded the escrow, all the Labella studies for the environmental, for the rock, everything would have been done. The houses would have been started by now, presumably. Mr. Weitz, you remember we were talking at one meeting and you said, if Labella study comes back, will you accept it? And I said, yes. And the Labella study that came back was very thorough and we accepted it. But now we have a different situation. And it creates a very, very, very serious obstacle. And I urge you, come tomorrow, wear a mask, go take a look. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak on behalf of this application? Hearing none, Mr. Blanchard, do you have any rebuttal?
Received one written comment a few minutes before the meeting began. If you like, I can read it into the record.
Yes, please.
Okay. Just bear with me a second. These were actually, it's actually a set of two letters. These are both from Vince Ferrandino. The first letter is, let me open it here. The first letter is dated November 5th, 2025. Chair and planning board members, I am the owner of a home within close proximity to 55 Pontfield Parkway, the subject of this proposed subdivision. I am also a professional city planner and former commissioner of planning for the city of Mount Vernon. I have viewed the past meetings of the board. Excuse me. Second. I have a tough time here. I have viewed the past meetings of the board wherein this application has been heard, as I have been unable to attend in person due to conflicts in business meetings and hearings. And I'm unable to attend tonight as well. At the September meeting, there was talk by the chair of a mysterious building department report, which does not exist. As a result, 3 of the 5 task items for the Labella Consulting firm were arbitrarily omitted from their original approved scope of services. Those tasks are 1, depth to bedrock analysis, 3, hazardous materials related demolition, and 4, water usage and wastewater in. Please adhere to the following before this application can proceed. Number 1, restoration of those 3 task items and fees so that Labella can complete its environmental review of the applicant's consultant's work as originally committed months ago before the next planning board meeting in December. Remember, this letter was written in November. Number 2, identification of the members of the Mad Real Properties LLC as what was submitted for this meeting, like the last meeting, is insufficient. And number 3, preparation by the applicant of a bona fide economic cost analysis showing that the renovation of the existing house is or is not economically feasible. Further, this analysis by the applicant, including a financial pro forma, should be reviewed and vetted by a paid by the applicant third-party city consultant, just as Labella is being paid via the custodial escrow account. The issue is at the heart of the neighbors' concerns, as well as a key element of the draft comprehensive plan, which this board has endorsed, putting a premium on historic and architectural preservation. This analysis was requested months ago by the neighbors, but ignored by both the applicant and this board. It needs to be done now. Please advise on all 3 requests above. Finally, it has come to my attention that Planning Board Chair Daryl Celsey is conflicted with respect to this application because of a previously undisclosed fiduciary and business relationship with applicant Emilio Di Matteo with regard to the purchase of Mr. Celsey's home on Stuyvesant Plaza in Mount Vernon, the details of which are available online via research conducted by the Pontfield Parkway neighbors. Accordingly, Mr. Celsey should immediately recuse himself for his failure to disclose this relationship on the onset of this application and resign from the Planning Board, as this, in my opinion, constitutes a serious ethical breach. Thank you, Vince Ferrandino, AICP. And then he submitted a second letter. This one is dated today. Okay. Acting Chair and Planning Board members. Attention is drawn to my November 5th, 2025 memorandum, a copy of which is attached, wherein the several questions I asked were never answered nor addressed by this board. Also noted is a letter to the board dated November 25th, 2025 from John S. Craig, a member of the Elliger, Berger, and Vogel law firm on behalf of the Pontfield neighbors, wherein he makes the same assertions I made with regard to the 3 Labella environmental review tasks, which were arbitrarily eliminated in October and not addressed at the last meeting. In addition, I ask again that the applicant fully disclose the members of the Mad Real Properties LLC, as well as perform a bona fide cost-benefit analysis of preserving or not preserving the existing house on the subject lot. The latter request is predicated on the responses prepared by staff in the undated draft part 2 of the long form EAF identification of potential project impacts to wit. Number 18, consistency with community character, no impact. A, the proposed action may replace or eliminate existing facilities, structures, or areas of historic importance to the community. And E, the proposed action is inconsistent with the predominant architectural scale and character. In order to determine no impact, the applicant must first prove that the existing house, over 100 years old and of Grand Tudor architectural style similar to many homes in the neighborhood, cannot be preserved from an engineering and/or economic perspective. Despite verbal assertions by the applicant that it is not economically feasible to preserve the house, that analysis has not been done. I again ask that this cost-benefit analysis be prepared by the applicant and vetted by a third party, city retained consultant to confirm or dispute what may be concluded, the cost of which shall be borne by the applicant by a standard custodial escrow account. Until such time as that occurs, I submit that it is inappropriate and premature for the lead agency to make any secret determination in Part 3 of the long-form EAF. Evaluation of the magnitude and importance of project impacts and determination of significance. Now this is written in all capital letters. Clearly, the staff recommendation to issue a negative declaration under seeker is misplaced and uncalled for. Now back to non-all caps writing. I also draw your attention in Part 2 of the long-form EAF to wit, number 10, impact on historic and archaeological resources, no impact. The proposed action may occur wholly or partially within or substantially contiguous to an area designated as sensitive for archaeological sites in the New York State Historic Preservation Office, also known as SHPO, archaeological site inventory. And C, the proposed action may occur wholly or partially within or substantially contiguous to an archaeological site not included in the SHPO inventory. Source, question mark. The long form EAF Part 1 dated September 20th, 2024, again in all caps, which I asked to be made available online for this meeting with other project documents. Section, now back to standard text. Section E3, designation of public resources on or near project site, asks two important unanswered questions. E, does the proposed site contain or is it substantially contiguous to a building, archaeological site, or district? Answer, back to all caps, answered no and should be yes. Back to standard font. F, is the project site or any portion of it located in or adjacent to an area designated as sensitive for archaeological sites in the New York State Historic Preservation Office archaeological site inventory? Back to all caps, answered yes. Back to standard font. Excuse me, I have to scroll down. Because the EAF mapper summary report attached to Part 1 long-form EAF, specifically Section E3.F, identifies potential archaeological sites / artifacts on or near the sites, the subject subdivision site, the applicant must contact SHPO as a source and determine if and where there are artifacts and any impacts thereto before any determination of all caps, no impact, back to standard font, can be made in Section 10 of the long form Part 2 above. It may be that the applicant will have to conduct his own archaeological study to make this determination. Now using bold font, it reads, until such time that occurs, I submit that it is inappropriate and premature for the lead agency to make any secret determination in Part 3 of the long form EAF, evaluation of the magnitude and importance of project impacts and determination of significance. Now all caps again. Again, clearly the staff recommendation to issue a negative declaration is misplaced and uncalled for. Going back to standard font. Further, I ask the applicant through the board whether upon approval of this subdivision and site plan approval, he intends to build the two houses or flip them to another builder or partner. I ask this because while Mr. DiMatteo has been holding himself out as the applicant, quote, within quotations, applicant, Dan Amacucci, who has attended meetings, occasionally actually deposited funds in the escrow account to pay for the Labella environmental review. Please have the applicant and or Mr. Amacucci respond. On a final note, this application has been pending since June 2024, a year and a half ago. There have been many unnecessary stops and starts occasioned by both the applicant and this planning board. You owe it to yourselves, the applicant and the Pontville neighbors, to make a decision, but with, and in bold here, all the information on record needed to do so. Now back to regular text. Stop delaying, move forward with the remaining Labella tasks, answer my and the neighbors' questions, and move on to a decision based upon facts, not conjecture or speculation. I ask that you respond to my and the Pondfield neighbors' request tonight without further delay. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're just sorry, Mr. Chairman, just noting for the record, we objected in the entirety to both letters.
Is there anyone else from the? Is there anyone else from the public who'd like to speak?
To object to the silly way that that got read into the record and then his objection for no reason. I mean, Mr. Ferrandino is a neighbor. He's concerned. As I'm sure you all know, he knows all about the planning board of the city of Mount Vernon. So to say that we shouldn't pay attention, but what he had to say is, I think, ridiculous.
Thank you. Is there anyone online, Will?
Will would know that, right? Or
who
do-
wants
Will
to
or
go
do I have to?
after the application?
Oh, you did? Okay. I gotta figure this out. There are people, but these are some of these folks are for the next application.
Yeah, then. Yeah, then I think we're good.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Herbert, how do we proceed with regard to closing the public hearing and the EAF forms and
Well, the application is not fully complete until you close seeker, so
Right.
you would have to do that before closing the public hearing.
right, so that would be EAF part 2, correct?
That's correct, yes. Part 2 and part 3.
Okay, so what is the motion? What would that be?
Pardon?
What's the motion?
Oh, you can make a motion, I believe, to just, and Mr. Scully, if you could assist me with this, just make sure we do it properly. So he has we have the completed EAF staff, and in other instances, they, or it goes through the EAF, when it hasn't been filled out by staff in advance. In this, yeah, in this case, staff filled it out and made the document public. So, can they just vote on it? Okay, they should go through it. Okay, no problem. Okay, very good.
Okay,
So what I'll do is I'll hand you my computer with the EAF on the screen.
okay.
Or do we have a printout? Oh, we may have a printout. That would be easier. Oh, we do not. Okay, very good. I will loan you my computer.
What? I have a question. We viewed the meeting last night, and there was mention of possible conditions. And we just don't know whether those are being proposed or how this procedure works, so we'd appreciate some explanation as to that. Thank you.
There have been a comprehensive set of resolutions that have been drafted in connection with this application. If there is an affirmative vote after the public hearing is closed, those resolutions will be a matter of public record and will be available for view by the community and anyone else, any member of the
What
public.
about input from the community, suggestions as to conditions?
That, as you heard on the work session last night, council has advised us that that is not appropriate for the community or the public to be able to view those resolutions before they have been signed by the chair.
I see. I understood it to be a draft, but it sounds like you're about to sign it. So if it's about to be signed, it's hardly a draft because there will be no changes to it. It'd be very helpful for us to see what the conditions are and to be allowed to at least submit.
Mr. Blanchard, that document is not going to be.
I'm Bauman.
Oh, Mr. Bauman, that is not going to be submitted to the public for comment.
Okay. Note my objection.
I noted.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah, we should let, I should do it.
Okay,
Yeah.
just use the. We start with impacts.
Why are we reading this? Why are we reading this over again?
That's why.
You did this? Oh, we did it, okay. So there has been a. Correct, we did it. Oh, then there's no need to repeat that. Well, understand what the repeat is. Okay, so what about that step? The next step then would be, we've already adopted the.
Right.
Correct?
Right. Someone should make a motion to either do a positive or negative declaration.
And that has not been done.
That has not been done.
Right. But if we have not made that determination in positive declaration, that has to be done now. Right. On the record. Correct. Okay, so what's the motion? The motion is to adopt the that we have, and to either a positive or a negative declaration.
Right, so the motion should be to adopt the EAF as prepared by staff. And then vote on that, and then move on.
Second.
All in favor?
Now we have to move on to part 3 of the EAF, which is a negative declaration. Again, someone would have to make a motion to adopt a negative declaration.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
The public hearing is still open. You would have to make a motion to close the public hearing or keep it open.
Second.
All in favor?
Okay, it's at your discretion if you want to do the resolution has been drafted by council. If you want to entertain a motion to accept that resolution, or you can do that now, or you can do that. You have 62 days.
I have
Mm-mm.
We could review it now. I could read it to you, or whatever you want to do, or you can wait. You have 62 days. Okay, very good. Okay, this is quite a lengthy document, so get ready. Subdivision resolution, case number PB-24-2, resolution of the City of Mount Vernon Planning Board granting subdivision approval to Mad Real Properties LLC to subdivide an existing lot into 2 lots on premises located at 55 Pondfield Parkway, map page 159.71, block 2253, lot 1, zone R1-7. Whereas on September 11, 2024, John Yanacito, AIA, hereinafter the applicant filed an application on behalf of Mad Real Properties LLC, hereinafter the owner, to subdivide an existing 20,000 square foot lot into 2 lots in order to construct 2 new one-family dwellings, 1 on each newly created lot. The property is located on the east side of Pondfield Parkway at the intersection with Douglas Place in the R17 one-family residence zoning district. The property is occupied by an existing 2-story stucco stone residence and backs up to Huntswoods Park. The property has 200 feet of frontage along Pondfield Parkway with 100 feet of depth. The site also contains trees and rock outcroppings. The applicant proposes to subdivide the lot into the existing 20,000 square foot lot into 2 parcels of 10,000 square feet each, 100 by 100 each, and demolish the existing dwelling. Both newly created lots would be zoning compliant and meet all dimensional requirements, including impervious surfaces, building coverage, floor area, and building height and stories. And, bear with me here. Whereas the property is located in an R17 one-family residence zoning district identified in the tax assessment map of the City of Mount Vernon as map page 159.71, block 2253, lot 1, as shown on the official tax assessment records. And whereas the planning board is empowered and authorized to review and approve subdivisions in accordance with Article 4, Section 267-12 of the Mount Vernon Zoning Code, and Article 3, Section 32 and 33 of New York State General City Law. And whereas subdivisions are regulated by Article 4, Section 267-12 of the Mount Vernon zoning code, and whereas as part of this application for subdivision approval, applicant submitted information including but not limited to Plan Examiner's Report dated April 15th, 2024, issued by the City of Mount Vernon Department of Buildings. Statement of principal points dated May 9, 2024, prepared by John Yanacito, AIA. Short environmental assessment form, part 1, prepared by John Yanacito. Color photographs of the existing site and surrounding area. Topographical survey dated January 2nd, 2024, prepared by Rakesh R. Bihal, LS of Summit Land Surveying, PC. Subdivision map dated January 6, 2024, prepared by Emilio Di Matteo by Summit Land Survey, PC. Operating agreement by and between Daniel Amacucci and Emilio Di Matteo, Mad Real Properties LLC, effective date October 16, 2013. Asbestos and hazardous materials report dated March 12, 2024, prepared by SEA Westchester Incorporated. Letter from demolition contractor Aqua Works Incorporated dated March 15, 2024. Letter from Con Edison dated April 2nd, 2024, confirming that both electric and gas facilities had been removed at 55 Pondfield Parkway, Mount Vernon, New York, 10552. Drawings prepared by John Yanacito, RA, listed as follows. All drawings are dated 3/8/24 unless otherwise indicated. A1, existing site plan and notes. A2, proposed site plan and notes dated 8/23/24. A3, parcel 1 schematic plan and elevation. A4, parcel 2 schematic plan and elevation. And whereas the following documents were also received and considered by the planning board, Edinger Community Habitat Survey Report dated October 2025, prepared for the City of Mount Vernon by Labella Associates, DPC. 55 Pondfield Parkway Water Quality Impacts for Laurel Brook dated October 28, 2025, prepared by Labella Associates, DPC. Habitat Assessment Report dated September 16, 2024, prepared by Ecological Analysis, LLC. Tree Protection Plan, Landscaping Plan, and Landscaping Details dated September 20th, 2024, prepared by KSCJ Consulting. Comments from the City of Mount Vernon Architectural Review Board dated September 30th, 2024. And whereas the subdivision application does not contain any locational triggers requiring referral to or notification of Westchester County Planning Board, as no new street or drainage line will connect directly into a state or county road or county drainage channel. And whereas the Planning Board commenced a duly noticed public hearing on June 5th, 2024. The hearing was continued on September 4th, 2024, November 6th, 2024, September 9th, 2025, November 5th, 2025, and closed on January 7th, 2025, during which time the public was, pardon? Oh, right, yeah, 2026. Yeah, I gotta fix that. Thank you. During which time the public was afforded an opportunity to speak in opposition to, in favor of, or otherwise comment on the application. The planning board received written and verbal comments from the public, including concerns regarding the historic significance of the existing residence, the density of the proposed development, the project's proximity to Huds Woods, the impact on wildlife and neighborhood character, and impact on surrounding homes. And whereas during the public hearing, the city retained an independent third-party consultant, Labella Associates, DPC, to conduct independent studies regarding the environmental impact of the proposed demolition of the existing house and construction of 2 new houses would have within the study area. Labella's scope of analysis was to include bedrock removal, truck traffic, hazardous materials, stormwater, and impacts to Hunts Woods and wildlife. Labella prepared and submitted 2 reports, the Edinger Community and Habitat Survey Report dated October 2025, also known as the Edinger Report, and 55 Pondfield Parkway Water Quality Impacts for Laurel Brook dated October 28th, 2025, the Water Quality Report. The Edinger Report found, amongst other things, that no wetlands or streams are present within the study area, aquatic communities are not present within the study area, and 1 perennial New York State DEC classified B/B stream is located to the east of the study area and within Hunts Woods Park, also known as Laurel Brook. Amongst other things, the Edinger Report concluded that there were no significant natural communities near or within the study area. There are no U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service critical habitats within the area. The New York State DEC ERM Environmental Resource Mapper and EAF Mapper provided no records of known occurrences of state-listed species within the vicinity of the study area. And the development of the study area will not likely impact wildlife species, including the blue jay, common crow, downy woodpecker, white-tailed deer, gray squirrel, eastern chipmunk, raccoon, rabbits, coyotes, fox, turkeys, deer, and various birds that utilize the general forested area within Hunts Woods Park. Labella further concluded that the study, you have one. Oh, geez. Labella further concluded that the study Labella further concluded the study area is currently a residential parcel and will be redeveloped and remain residential. It is not expected that the project will impact the adjacent Huntswood Park, as the proposed project will be within the previously disturbed parcel boundaries. And whereas the asbestos and hazardous materials report dated March 12, 2024, prepared by SEA Westchester Incorporated, indicated that no asbestos containing materials within any of the tested material collected within the structure currently known as 55 Pontfield Parkway, Mount Vernon, New York, 10552, and whereas the letter from the demolition contractor Aquaworks Incorporated dated March 15, 2024 indicates that the mobilization will include the installation of construction fencing and silt fencing to protect the adjacent property, site, and street. And whereas regarding adequate sewer capacity and on-site stormwater management as a condition of the subdivision approval, applicant comply with all requirements of the Department of Public Works and City Engineer, including those set forth in Department of Public Works comments dated October 1st, 2025, and City Engineer comments dated October 2nd, 2025, copies of which are annexed here too and made part of this resolution. And whereas regarding bedrock removal and related truck traffic as a condition of this subdivision approval, applicant shall comply with all federal, state, and local laws, rules, and regulations regarding rock excavation removal, including but not limited to those set forth by OSHA and New York State DEC and the Mount Vernon Buildings Department. Applicant shall also retain the services of a licensed professional geotechnical engineering firm to conduct subsurface investigations and make evaluations and recommendations as it relates to the proposal, neighboring properties, and public health, safety, and welfare. And whereas upon information received at the public hearing and upon all materials submitted, including the plan examiner's report, architectural drawings, survey, plot plans, environmental assessments, environmental reports by third-party consultants, photos of the existing site and the surrounding areas, comments from the public, and conditions attached to this resolution, the planning board hereby determines that the land shown on the plat is of such character that it can be used safely for building purposes without danger to health or peril from fire, flood, drainage, or other menace to neighboring properties, or the public health, safety, welfare as prescribed by Article 3, Section 33, subsection 1 of the New York State General City Law. And whereas upon information received at the public hearing and upon all materials submitted, including the plan examiner's report, architectural drawings, surveys, plot plans, environmental assessments, environmental reports, photos of the existing site and surrounding areas, comments from the public, and conditions attached to this resolution, the planning board hereby determines that the existing one-family dwelling and proposed 2 new one-family dwellings are permitted principal uses in the R1-7 zoning district pursuant to the Mountain Vernon zoning code, section 267-17, subsection A1A. Moreover, both the existing one-family dwelling and proposed two new one-family dwellings, front public roads, and the streets and highways are of sufficient width and suitable grade and are suitably located to accommodate the prospective traffic, to afford adequate light and air, to facilitate fire protection, and to provide access of firefighting equipment to buildings as prescribed by Article 3, Section 33, subsection 2A of the New York State General City Law. And whereas pursuant to condition number 9 below, the planning board hereby requires that all streets and other public places shown on the plats be suitably graded and paved. Street signs, sidewalks, street lighting standards, curbs, gutters, street trees, water mains, fire alarm signal devices, including necessary ducts and cables and other connecting facilities, sanitary sewers, and storm drains be installed, all in accordance with the standard specifications and procedures acceptable to the appropriate city departments, or alternatively, that a performance bond or other security be furnished to the city as prescribed by Article 3, Section 33, subsection 2C and Section 33, subsection 8 of the New York State General City Law. And whereas the plots on the plat are zoning compliant as required by Article 3, Section 33, subsection 3 of New York State General City Law, and whereas the proposed subdivision seeks to demolish an existing one-family dwelling and construct 2 new one-family dwellings upon evaluation of the present and anticipated future needs for park and recreational facilities in the city based on the projected population growth to which the particular subdivision plat will contribute, the planning board hereby finds that the reservation of land for a park, playground, or other recreational purposes is not required in this instance pursuant to Article 3, Section 33, subsection 4 of New York State General City Law. And whereas in making its determinations regarding streets, highways, parks, and other improvements as prescribed by Article 3, Section 33, subsection 5 of New York State General City Law, the planning board has duly considered the character of the proposed development, which entails demolishing an entire one-family dwelling and constructing 2 new one-family dwellings. The planning board determines that the proposed one-family dwellings are permitted principal uses in the acceptable R1-7 zoning district and are not expected to have any significant impact regarding density, streets, highways, or parks. And whereas the proposed subdivision is zoning compliant as currently configured, therefore, application does not need to be made to the Zoning Board of Appeals for an area variance pursuant to Article 3, Section 33 subsection 6 of the New York General City Law. And whereas the planning board hereby determines that the subdivision application does not request or warrant any waiver of requirements for subdivision approval pursuant to Article 3, Section 33, subsection 7 of New York State General City Law. And whereas pursuant to condition number 10 below, applicant shall comply with Article 3, Section 32, subsection 11 of the New York State General City Law regarding the filing of the final plat. And whereas the planning board served as lead agency and considered this subdivision matter as a coordinated review of an unlisted action pursuant to Section 617.5, subsection C13 of the State Environmental Quality Review Act, the planning board issued a negative declaration on January 7th, 2026, thus ending the secret process. Moreover, as noted in the Secret Handbook, 4th edition, 2020, Chapter 7, page 171, if the action involves the review of a subdivision, General City Law 32, Town Law 276, and Village Law 7-728, the state subdivision review enabling laws incorporate secret directly into the overall subdivision review process. Therefore, be it resolved that on January 7th, 2026, a motion to approve the subdivision application submitted by John Yanacito, AIA, on behalf of Mad Real Properties LLC for the premises located at 55 Pondfield Parkway, Section 159.71, Block 2253, Lot 1 was made by, this actually has to be filled in once the motion is made. I'll move on to the following conditions. Condition number 1, applicant shall submit a tree removal plan and tree protection plan and schedule of trees to be planted with their diameter breast height on each lot. If significant trees are not replaced on the property, applicant shall pay a fee in lieu to the Mount Vernon Tree Fund escrow account pursuant to the Mount Vernon City Code, Section 252-10, subsection E, City Tree Fund. Condition number 2, per the recommendation of the city's independent environmental consultant, LaBella Associates CPC, any tree clearing shall be conducted during the inactive season, November 1st through March 31st, to avoid direct impacts on certain wildlife. Condition number 3, applicant shall obtain city council approval for all curb cuts exceeding 12 linear feet pursuant to Section 227, subsection 12 of the Mount Vernon City Code. Condition number 4, in conjunction with any new curb cuts related to the proposed development, applicant shall install granite curbing and new sidewalks along the property. Condition 5, applicant shall conduct curb-to-curb street repair following pipe installations. Condition number 6, applicant comply with all requirements of the Department of Public Works and City Engineer, including those set forth in Department of Public Works comments dated October 1st, 2025, and City Engineer comments dated October 2nd, 2025, copies of which are annexed here too and made a part of this resolution. Condition 7, applicant, pardon me a second. Applicant shall consult with the Mount Vernon Board of Water Supply and ensure that each lot has its own tap water service and meter as prescribed by the Board of Water Supply. Condition number 8, all required landscaping shall be properly trimmed and maintained in a healthy growing condition at all times. In addition, all plants shall live for at least 2 to 3 years prior to the issuance of a permanent certificate of occupancy. Upon written notification, any and all dead and or diseased plants shall be removed immediately and the new plants planted in their place. Condition number 9, applicant shall ensure that all streets and other public spaces shown on the plat shall be suitably graded and paved. Street signs, sidewalks, street lighting standards, curbs, gutters, street trees, water mains, fire alarms, signal devices, including necessary ducts and cables or other connecting facilities, sanitary sewers, and storm drains be installed, all in accordance with standard specifications and procedures acceptable to the appropriate city departments, or alternatively that a performance bond or other security be furnished to the city as prescribed by Article 3, Section 33, subsection 2C, and Section 33, subsection 8 of the New York State General City Law. Condition number 10, applicant shall comply with Article 3, Section 32, subsection 11 of the New York State General City Law regarding filing of the final plat. Condition number 11, applicant shall file the approved plat with the Office of the Westchester County Clerk and the City Assessor pursuant to the Mount Vernon Zoning Code, Section 267-12. Applicant shall also submit a copy of the file plat to the Planning Board and Buildings Department for file prior to the issuance of a building permit. Condition number 12, applicant shall file the plot plans and survey and deeds in accordance with Article 9 of the New York State Real Property Law. The aforementioned shall be done no later than 1 year after the date of certifying this resolution. Condition 13, due to due to exposed bedrock on the site prior to issuance of a building permit, applicant shall retain the services of a New York State licensed geotechnical professional engineer to perform subsurface investigations and evaluations, report findings, and make recommendations as it relates to the integrity of the proposed construction, protection of neighboring property, and public health, safety, and welfare. Applicant shall submit said geotechnical engineering report to the planning board, planning department, and building department prior to the issuance of a building permit. The geotechnical report should be included in the application for a building permit submitted to the Department of Buildings. Based on the condition number 14, based on the geotechnical engineering report referenced in condition number 13 above, prior to issuance of a building permit, applicant shall revise the site plan to include a rock and soil excavation and removal plan prepared and signed and stamped by a New York State licensed geotechnical professional engineer. Amongst other things, the said plan shall include identification of the type and amount of natural materials to be excavated and removed, excavation limits, excavation methods in compliance with the New York State Uniform Building Code, equipment to be used, sequencing, such as detailed steps for clearing, excavation, grading, utility installation, etc. Safety controls such as OSHA compliance regarding trench safety, sloping, shoring, dust control, etc. Erosions and sediment controls, stormwater pollution prevention plan, construction, staging, truck routes designated to minimize residential traffic, truck covers, estimated number of truck trips, etc. Condition 15, applicant shall comply with the noise ordinance set forth in Chapter 178 of the Mount Vernon City Code. Condition 16, applicant shall comply with all federal, state, and local laws, rules, and regulations, including but not limited to those set forth by the Uniform Fire Prevention and Building Code and Energy Code 2025 edition, OSHA, New York State DEC, and the Mount Vernon Buildings Department as it relates to rock and soil excavation and removal. Condition 17, applicant shall comply with all rules, regulations, and recommendations set forth by the City Council, all city boards, and all city departments. Condition 18, pursuant to Section 53-3, subsection K of the Mount Vernon City Code, all of the above conditions required by the planning board shall be incorporated in the building permit and certificate of occupancy and noted on the original and all file copy prints of the approved site plan. All of the above conditions shall be compiled with prior to the issuance of the certificate of occupancy. That is the end of the resolution.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, you may. Yeah, it's up. That's at your discretion.
Make a motion to approve the resolution.
Do I have a motion to approve for that motion as part of the application?
Motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
And that's it.
That's it. Done. You.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you to the board.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for staying.
What's that? I'm so sorry.
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah. Right.
This should be quick. I'm gonna make sure.
Right. Oh, did we get those or those on?
They're-
Okay. All right, great. Okay, we're gonna move on to 3.1, case number PB 25 15, 136 East Third Street.
Hi, members of the board.
136
My name
East
is,
Third Street Holdings, represented by Vladimir Levin.
hi, yes, I'm on Zoom.
Oh, okay. I was wondering, I was like, I don't see him. Okay. Okay, Mr. Levin, if you can just kind of bring us up to speed, and I'm gonna have, our planning staff also comment in terms of, there were a couple of things from the last meeting, just want to make sure that we can just address those quickly.
Yeah, so I think sorry, there's an echo. The couple of things I think that the board asked for us to address was the lighting and illumination levels on the site, the what kind of cameras were being used on the building, and I think one of the things that was really a concern was the floor drain inside the establishment, which is also addressed on the drawings.
You wouldn't mind just, indicating what that is?
Indicating what, I'm sorry,
terms
which
of-
point?
Yeah, no, let's go over the floor drain.
Yeah, so there is an existing floor drain in the garage area, which is being capped. So there's not going to be any contaminants going into the sewer system.
Very good. Thank you. That was a concern. I also would like to just get on the record. It was my understanding from the previous meeting when we were talking about the washing of cars, that the actual washing is going to take place in Pelham and Lincoln Avenue. So I just want to have the applicant, I'm just sorry, just state your name for the record, just so that we can. Thank you. So that is accurate, right? The washing will be take
Correct.
place there.
Correct.
And then the high-end cars.
I mean, if you go over there at his establishment in Pelham, you'll see signs there that says tenting PPF. He doesn't do that there. He does it at my shop. So vice versa, at my shop, I do the same advertising for his shop.
Right.
But no washing at my shop.
Right, okay. I just wanted to get that on the record,
Correct.
that would be, taken care of, because there was concern, there was a question in terms of, whether or not the washing of cars. So I just wanted to make sure, and thank you for reiterating to us that they'll be done Lincoln Avenue, and then you'll be doing the rest of the detailing at your shop.
Correct.
Up there. Okay, great. That was my question for you. I did notice also that the sidewalks in the immediate area there are in pretty bad shape. So what plans do we have in regards to the sidewalks?
I don't have any plans. I mean, I just rent there. I mean, I don't, actually, wasn't they supposed to come by and fix the sidewalks because of the bus? It's a bus stop there. So they were supposed to, I spoke to somebody at DPW, I can't remember who, but they were supposed to come look at it because of the buses driving there. They destroyed the sidewalk.
Okay. Okay. All right. So we'll figure that part out. Just happened to, notice that it was, pretty bad, condition there. Okay. I was gonna bring that up as well. So, okay. All right. So, okay. So, Mr. Levin. Hi.
Yes.
Okay. Please continue with that. It's okay.
What else would you like me to address?
Okay, so we've got the cameras, they're gonna do the retention of at least 60 days, right, for public safety?
That's right. Yes, there's a note on the drawings that indicates that.
Okay. are pretty much my questions. Lucas would.
So I just have a quick question.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Real quick, the car lift is to, what will you using the car lift for? Is it not doing any oil changes or things of that nature? Okay, so it won't be any issue with oil, anything of that nature, okay? Because I know before you mentioned you was capping the separator, okay?
Mr. Jenga, Salmon.
No, I'm concerned with this.
Okay, Mr. White's, Trolio.
None for me.
No.
Okay. Mr. Herbert? Any additional questions for the applicant?
No.
Okay. All right. All right, so let me.
No, we didn't receive any letters.
Okay, so we have to do seeker. And I'll make a motion that the planning board serve as lead agency for this application. The unlisted action.
So moved.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye. All right, we have the quick form the questions we can go over. Thank you.
Will the proposed action create, the answer is no or small impact, if or moderate to large impact. Will the proposed action create material conflict with the adopted communication plan for zoning regulations?
No.
Will the proposed action result in a change? Will the proposed action result in a change in use or intensity of use of land?
No.
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of the existing community?
No.
Will the proposed action have an impact on the environmental characteristics that cause the establishment of critical environment?
No.
Will the proposed action result in adverse change in the existing level of traffic or affect existing infrastructure for mass transit, biking, or walk?
No.
Will the proposed action cause an increase in use of energy and it fails to incorporate reasonably available energy conservation or renewable energy options?
No.
Will the proposed action impact existing public or private water supplies or public or private wastewater facilities?
No.
Will the proposed action impair the character or quality of important historic, archaeological, architectural, or aesthetic?
No.
Will the proposed action result in an adverse change in natural resources such as wetlands, water bodies, groundwater, air quality, or
No.
will the proposed action result in increase in the potential for erosion, flooding, or drainage problems?
No.
Will the proposed action create a hazard to the environmental resources?
No.
Okay, so in this case, the answer is all no, so, next step would be to, stop the negative declaration and the next motion that.
I'll make a motion that we issue a negative declaration in regards to this application.
So move.
Second.
All right, we've got a motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Oh, was the public hearing closed yet? We should be closed now.
Okay, is there anybody else out there?
Yeah, oh, yes,
Okay, very great. I make a motion that we close the public hearing.
So moved.
All right, second. All right, motion second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye, great. Okay, let's see, is there a motion to accept the application? Just want to add that in regards to the sidewalk, since it is a safety issue, that needs to be addressed as part of the, so I'm going to make a motion that we ask for a draft resolution to be presented to us for the February meeting, which would incorporate language indicating that the sidewalk is going to be repaired, replaced in the areas that are needed. So I made the motion for the draft resolution. Is there a second with the, yeah.
That condition?
Yeah.
Sure,
that condition.
second.
All right. Well, we have, right, so the process is right now, we're making a motion, we're almost finished with that, okay? Once that's voted on. I completely understand. But there's nothing that we can do. This is the process. So this is as fast as we can do it, okay? So, this is a good thing because we're making a motion to approve. All right. So, and the motion was made, but had a second, all in favor of having the draft resolution presented
Condition.
for February? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Okay. All right, so possibly you can have whoever it is that you're dealing with from the state to reach to. Listen, I'm trying to help you, okay? So what I'm suggesting is that possibly have the contact person that you're dealing with do a conference call with planning staff, and they could explain that this is being approved. This is the process. So I'm trying to help you. And so this way, it's coming directly from the city of Mount Vernon. I'm trying to help you and resolve what you're talking about right now. And the only way that I can see doing that is arranging for you to speak to whoever that contact person is with the planning staff so that they can let that person know that this is being taken care of, this is being approved, and it will be approved officially at the February meeting. Okay? If there were something else that we could do, I would try, but there isn't. That's the process. Okay?
And also at our previous meeting, your professional wasn't prepared for the meeting. So there are things that he needed to prepare for us that was not prepared. So I would speak to your professional as well, because he didn't have those things ready for us at that time. Right? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. All right, so let's see. Is there anything else on the agenda? Anything administratively that, no? No? Okay. All right. Well, want to thank you, everyone, for their hard work, their patience, long time, and I got a motion to adjourn over here, so I'm gonna cut that off, and so, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. You can take that off.